G'day. I thought I'd do another quick review of a pistol I picked up a couple months ago, 3 months ago. It's the SIG X5. Oh, it's a 226 X5, and it would be cool. Oh, well, I'd call it the Series 2, because there was an X5 series before that had the designation of 226S on the slides. These ones are actually called X5. They say X5 on the side, so I call them the Series 2. I'll do a safety check. I already safety checked it, but you can see there's heaps and heaps of safety in there, so no one's going to get shot. All right, so what can I tell you about this? I bought it to fill a bit of a long-term want in my life. I've had an X5 Series 1 tactical before, which didn't have a decock. It was still single action only. And it was a beautiful gun. It shot very, very well. I wanted one of these in a 6-inch years and years ago, and I couldn't get it because there was an export ban put on SIG Germany. So I waited about a year to only find out it wasn't coming. And when I went to buy this, I did have the choice to get the 6-inch or the 5-inch, and I ummed and ahed. And in the end, I own a few long slides already, and so I thought I'd stick with the standard one. I don't think I need another long slide, but part of me wants that long slide version. But one day maybe. So this is the classic model. It comes with wooden grips, which are quite beautiful, but they're not super aggressive. And the other thing with the wooden grips, it makes it quite a wide handgun, and it's already quite a wide handgun if you have smallish hands. And so I changed them out for fear that I would hurt them and that they weren't as good as these plastic ones. I picked these up from a German retailer off the internet. At the same time, I got the extended magazine release. Now, you will, if you intend on using this in any type of competition, you really will need that extended magazine release and possibly to change out the grips. The reason is, without this is on the standard magazine. It's recessed so much, you probably only get about that much magazine release, and so you will struggle to hit it with the wooden grips. So I could really recommend getting that. Apparently, there's more pronounced takedown levers as well, which you can rest your thumbs on, but I'm not at that stage yet. I think the other thing is I would like to also change this for a front fiber optic sight. If anyone knows what size cut this is or has a supply of fiber optic fronts, if you can send me a message, I'd really appreciate it. But no, so the gun comes with adjustable rear sights. They're not, I think the model up, there's a super match that comes with micrometer adjustable sights, but these are just standard adjustable, and they're fine for what they are. You can get a good sight picture. I'll try to get it. Ooh, here we go. Just there. And I've just put a little bit of white on for when I'm shooting black targets. And they're fine sights. I've got no problem with it all. They're very sharp and pronounced. Trigger safety's hard, like hard, but it works for what it is. It certainly isn't as smooth. It hasn't had a great break, and this is probably in the 500 range of round counts. Comes with checkered fronts, and it's checkered a little bit on the front here, which I don't hold the gun in that position. I always hold it in this position, sort of thing. So if you're someone who puts their finger on front of the trigger guard, which I don't think a lot of people do, but it might be a good thing for you. But no, so the gun's very good, and I'd say, I'd still in the future probably buy another set of these plastic ones, and I'd do a little bit of personalisation or stippling or maybe even a pattern on them just to make it look a little bit more my own, because at the moment, even though it's quite a high-end gun, I think you're probably in the $4,000 to $4,500 range in Australia, which is quite expensive for the guns we get. It is quite a boring-looking handgun, and it sort of doesn't have a very classic 226 look to it, and it's much heavier than a standard 226, of course. But I think it's a little bit, it fills a niche, or it tries to fill a niche that it doesn't quite fill. And what I mean by that is, so I do service matches and a little bit of bullseye and NRA and stuff like that, and it is highly, highly accurate. I think you'd struggle to find a more accurate pistol. But the gun itself isn't good at shooting fast. It recoils quite high, and you actually have to fight to put it back on the target. And so I find you lose a bit of time doing that, whereas I had a CZ Tactical Sport, And this tactical sport, by the time you even think about putting it back on the target, it's already back where you were before. So you're actually fighting the recoil. And I think it's because, well, two things. The accuracy wise, you probably have to have a very tight, well, you do have a very tight lockup on that lug. But this frame, or this slide, is heavy. It's stainless steel. And when you look inside of it, I might even be able to do that for you now. Look inside. There's been a lot of material taken out. Obviously, they've thought about this, especially in the rear here. Like, there's a lot of internal cuts. Oh, my goodness, I'm going to get this in the light. Oh, hang on, let's see if I can do this. There's internal cuts there. You can see that they've tried to make this as light as possible, but they really are quite a heavy slide. And so, you know, it's a strange thing to say, but you really are getting a lot of heavy recoil out of it. Now, the other quick, it's a little bit dirty in there, as you can see. The other quick qualm I have with it is the chamber tolerances aren't as exact as the first series. So the first model I knew of, they were quite fussy with brass. Now, this one comes from the factory, and when I first saw this, I thought I had a defect. And this is actually, I've actually got another video on my channel. If you look on my channel, you see it. You can see that is actually loose in that chamber. Like, that's seated. And you can see that moves. Now, I went to a few other gun shops around Sydney, and I was lucky enough to be able to compare other barrels on brand new guns, because I thought in my head, surely I've only shot factory ammunition, surely it can't be this bad. And they all are that loose. They come that loose. And I think it's probably one of two things. It's the original ones, they probably had a lot of people complaining, because if you got the brass wrong on the original ones, it would snap this extractor. And I've actually got a few of these extractors spare already, but I knew people in Australia who'd snapped this extractor and they couldn't get another one. It was rare as hen's teeth. So you're in the stage where if you break this, you turn it into a $4,000 paperweight, and having it that loose, it still shoots it's very, very accurate. And I think it actually just about feeds anything. So you sort of kill two birds with one stone. The downside of that is, and these are factory cases, never been fired before, you'll split about 4 out of every 100 cases. And I think if you went to, I'll just see if I can get a better shot of that. I think if you went to reload these cases, believe it or not, you'd find they'd probably only get one more reload before you split the things. So these are federal cases, or federal brass. And brand new, it was a Syntec, that red polymer-coated Syntec ammunition. And that was brand spanking new out of the box, and it split them the first go. So I think if you did pick up your cases and you were intending to get a lot of the life out of a reloaded case, I think you'd find you'd be going through quite a few cases over the life of the gun. Now, I'm not super concerned about that, because 9mm is quite cheap to buy case-wise. And for some reason, the last few years in Australia, we've gotten a very good deal on 9mm factory-loaded stuff. The sad thing is, at the gun club I'm in, I can't actually shoot full metal jacketed projectiles, so I have to use the synthetic stuff. But even the synthetic stuff, if you go to the right gun shop on the right day and you buy 500 to 1,000 rounds, you can get them for as low as $27 per 50, which, when you think of the reliability of a factory round and it's not overly accurate, but the reliability and the fact that you can store it up for so long, and you could, if you needed to, resell it, I don't think that's that bad of a deal. So I've been shooting only factory, and I'm probably going to do a run up to Queensland, hopefully in the near future, and buy some more. And I might just keep running factory ammunition through this thing. I'll still pick up the brass and I'll put in my brass pile, but I don't think I'm going to go and spend a lot of money. It's like, you'd spend $48 to $50 per 100 buying nice Lapua brass. Whereas I'd hate to see a nice bit of Lapua brass get broken, whereas I could just spend almost, $65 and have fully loaded factory ammunition. So I'll just stick with that for now. Plus, it's such a nice gun. I don't want to have any blame fall on me if something else went wrong, so I'll just stick to factory ammunition. But so yeah, that's where I find it. I think it's a bit of an advertised, or it's in the price range of, I know, to be relative terms, it's Ferrari price range, but it certainly isn't going to be an IPSC winning gun. And I think if you had the connections and you knew a very good gunsmith, you could probably get someone to build you a really tight CZ75 or a really tight 1911 that could match this. So I'm not slogging the gun and saying it's a terrible gun. It certainly is beautiful craftsmanship, and it's very, very tight tolerances. But I don't think it's actually worth the price point. I'd rather see something like a Wilson Combat or a Les Baer 1911 in this price range than one of these, because I think unless there is a model that comes with skeletonized parts, and that might reduce the recoil and stuff like that. But no, there is some good features. You can do with adjustable trigger and stuff like that, but it certainly is a lot of money for what you're getting. All right, hope that helps someone.